Hello everyone and welcome back to Sarang Menon Academy. In the previous video, we had explored what are variables, data types and how to print them. In this video, we will be learning how to perform the fundamental arithmetic operations using variables and how to take user input. So let's get started. Let's first open our compiler. And first of all, let's specify our header file #include stdio.h, then creating the function main with integer data type. Then we open curly braces, and then first of all we learn how to perform the 4 fundamental arithmetic operations in C. So the 4 fundamental arithmetic operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. So first of all we learn how to perform addition between two or infinite numbers in C. So first of all let's create a variable called x with integer data type, and let's store value of 5, and then let's create another data type, another variable of integer data type called y, and I'll store value of 1. And now we need to learn how to add these two numbers and print the result. So there are two methods. The first method is to create a third variable and then store the sum of x and y, and the second method is to directly print the sum of x and y. So we are going to explore both methods. So the first method is to create a third variable. So I'll create a third variable called sum, and then I'll store the value of x plus y, and then I'll print sum, then put a separator and a space, and then I'll write the format specifier %d, then I'll put a comma, and then I'll write sum, then I'll put a semicolon. Now if I print, as you can see it prints sum is 6. Now the second method is to directly print the sum of x and y. So first of all I'll create a new line here itself, and here I'll write printf, and again I'll write sum, separator and space, then I'll specify the format specifier, then I'll put comma, and instead of specifying the third variable name, I'll directly write x plus y, then I put a semicolon. Now if I run my code, as you can see both of these calculates to 6 itself. Now in similar manner we can perform subtraction, multiplication and division. So now let's learn how to perform subtraction. So for performing subtraction, I'll again take these two variables itself, x and y, and then I'll create a third variable called int difference x minus y, because we are going to again explore both the methods, and then I'll print difference, and then I'll write the value, and then I'll perform the second method also. I'll just put new line minus. As you can see it has printed both sum and difference. Now in a similar manner we'll perform multiplication and division. So I'll create another variable called product, then I'll store the values, and similarly I'll create another variable called quotient and store the values. And then I'll print the values. As you can see, it's printing sum, difference, product and quotient. Now there's a concept called comments in programming. Now comments are those lines of code which are ignored by the compiler. It is only meant for humans. Usually when we write a big program, we usually write comments for other users who is seeing the code to easily understand what that particular code is meant. So in order to create a comment in C, we put 2 forward slashes. For example, I want to specify here that this is for addition, so I'll write addition, and here I'll write subtraction. So I put 2 forward slashes, and after that whatever I write will be ignored by the compiler. As you can see, as soon as I put the 2 forward slashes, the color of the line automatically changes to green. That means it's a comment. Now I think you will be able to see it better. So this is how comments work. And now if I again run the code, as you can see, it will not throw any error or display any other text because it's a comment and the compiler has completely ignored the comment. Okay, now let's move to the second part, which is to take user input. Now why do we take user input? We take user input to make our program interactive, so that the user can input their own input, and the system will calculate or perform the action which we have specified accordingly. So I'll write taking input from the user as a comment from the user, and then we'll learn how to we'll create a square calculator where the user will enter a number and the system will automatically calculate the square of the number and will print. So let's create a variable called, let's say, square, or let's say number, and then I put a semicolon. Now what does this mean? This means I have created a variable but haven't assigned any value to it. Now we can completely create variables like this which doesn't have any assigned values. We are creating like this because the value of this variable will be specified by the user. The user will specify the value. So after that I'll write printf, and let's print a greeting message like welcome to square calculator. Then let's put a semicolon, and then in order to read the user value, there is a function in C called scanf. Now printf is for printing something, scanf is for scanning the user's input, that means reading the user's input. So I'll put a parenthesis, and then I'll put the format specifier. For integer it's %d, and then I'll put a comma, and then my variable is number. So if I simply write number, this will throw an error. Why? Because while using scanf, I have to also put this symbol. This symbol is known as ampersand. This is the and symbol, but this symbol is known as ampersand in programming. So we have to always specify ampersand sign before writing the variable name. So I have to write ampersand number, or if I am taking another variable, let's take x, so I have to write ampersand x. So always when we specify or when we write something inside the scanf function, we have to always write ampersand sign, and then let's put a semicolon, and then I'll write printf. Again here also we can use the two different methods that I mentioned earlier, which I can create a second variable called square, and then I can assign the value, and then I can print the variable square, or I can directly calculate the value. So here I am directly calculating the value, so I'll write square, put a separator, put a space, and here I'll write a format specifier. So the format specifier is percentage D, and then I'll put comma, and then I'll write number into number. Now number into number means the number multiplied by itself, and then I'll put a semicolon. Here I'll put a backslash n for a new line. Here also I'll put a new line. Or let's look how does it work. As you can see, quotient 5. Okay, here also I'll give a new line. As you can see, it has printed welcome to square calculator, and it's directly, now as you can see, it's giving me a blank space, but the user is not getting informed that what should they do. This is because we haven't printed a line saying like enter a number, like this, enter a number. If I give a line like this, it will automatically display the line, and then the user will be able to know how to print it. Okay, enter a number. I think new line is not needed here. Yes, this will work. So enter number, so I'll enter a number, let's say 5, and if I enter, as you can see, it has calculated the square and it's saying square is 25. Now if I rerun this code, I can give another number, let's say 15, so it will print 225. As you can see, it has printed 225. So in a similar manner, I can create another various programs to calculate anything using user's input, like area of a circle or area of a rectangle. So let's create another project, and let's calculate the area of a rectangle. This time we'll be using the second method, which is by creating a second variable or creating a third variable and then printing the value from the third variable instead of printing it directly. So let hash include stdio.h int main. Inside open parentheses, open curly braces, I'll create a greeting message. First of all, welcome to area of a rectangle calculator, like this. Put a semicolon, and then I'll create two different variables. The first variable would be L, which stands for length. The second variable would be B, which stands for breadth. Since the formula of area of rectangle is length into breadth, we require these two variables. And then I'll write printf enter length, and then scanf percentage d comma ampersand L. Then put a new line. Then after that I'll write again another print statement, enter breadth. Then again another scanf statement, percentage d backslash n ampersand b. Now I'll create a third variable, which would be, I'll create the third variable here itself. Here itself I create the third variable, which would be int area, and then I can specify here itself. Here I'll specify area is equal to L into B. Now this means that we can edit the value of a variable. So area equal to L into B, this is the formula for calculating the area of a rectangle. Now I'll write printf area, put a separator and a space, percentage d, then I'll put a comma, then I'll write area, and then a semicolon. Now if I run the code, as you can see, it's asking welcome to area of rectangle calculator. I'll give a new line over here also. 5, the breadth as 3. As you can see, it calculates the area as 15. So this is how we create a program which calculates the area of a rectangle calculator. So we are nearing the end of this video. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like it and share this video with your friends and family. Thank you for watching.